Hello, my dear friends. How are you doing? Hope you are having an amazing day and not having to deal with drama. Ready for new stories I have for you today? Let's go to the first one. And don't forget to listen to the end of the story, guys, to hear my insights. Enjoy the stories. And don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. So, my sister Katie has been with her fiance Tom for around 15 years now. They are due to get married in July 2024. They also have 2 lovely kids together and would look like the ideal family. He proposed to her in 2010, so they've been engaged for 14 years, but have been planning their wedding for the past 2 years. My sister is so excited. Now, my sister and her fiance have always been really close to my brother, Rob, and his wife, Stacy. They do everything together, and their kids adore each other too. Around 4 years ago, I was woken up in the middle of the night by my mom, who was frantic and upset. She had told me my brother Rob and Stacy had a huge fight, and he came to stay with her. He had suspected she was being unfaithful, so checked her phone to see if he could find anything, which he did. He had found thousands of messages between his wife Stacy and my sister's fiance Tom. He had found out they had been sleeping together for around 2 years. He was fuming, of course, and was ready to kill Tom. My mom, being level-headed, talked him out of going and advised him to calm down before confronting the situation. The next day, my brother had calmed down and decided against going to confront Tom. My mom, however, called him and explained my brother knows everything and he needs to tell my sister. My brother, for some reason which I have no idea why, said he didn't want to tell my sister as he thinks it will ruin their family. He also stayed with his wife Stacy and they will go out with each other as if nothing had happened. My brother is walking my sister down the aisle on her wedding day as our dad passed away, and he is planning Tom's stag too. My mom told me the whole situation. I'm not meant to know any of this. It's all meant to be kept a huge secret, and my sister still doesn't know that her fiancé had an affair with her best friend, sister-in-law. I had been contemplating telling my sister about the whole thing because she doesn't deserve to marry someone who has done this to her. She should be able to make the decision about marrying him, regardless of whether he has been unfaithful to her. I fear if I do say something, I'm going to cause a huge family breakup and lose the relationship with my brother who didn't want her to know. I know this will ruin her wedding and most likely her family. But in reality, her fiancé is the one that ruined it. What should I do? Well, OP won't be in the wrong if she decides to tell her. But she needs to be prepared to be the messenger that got shot, though, if she decides to stay with her husband. And also, OP needs to consider that she is risking to lose her family. But just because OP's brother has no spine and wants to stay with a woman who cheated on him, doesn't mean OP's sister has to. She doesn't even get the choice. OP's whole family is absolutely disgusting. Poor sis. You don't need enemies when you have family like OP's. And now let's hear the community's opinion. Big Comfy Couch 4 says, between your brother, your sister, and their respective partners, 3 of them know a huge secret that is being kept from your sister, the bride. You and your mom know. I'm going to guess that many of the groom's family knows. At some point, your sister will find out. She will look back on her wedding day and feel humiliated that so many there knew this huge thing and didn't tell her. Her wedding will be ruined, either before or in retrospect. It's your call if you want to take the hit for this. Radiant Project says, tell her. My ex cheated on me. Everyone around me knew. No one wanted to tell me. Eventually it came out. If I had known in advance, I could have better prepared myself for everything that happened after his cheating came out. Everybody else knows. She needs to know. J. Smith 2127 says, someone needs to tell your sister. She will be even more devastated if she finds out her husband has been ducking her brother's significant other, and everyone knew and didn't tell her. If I was in her shoes and found this out, I would go full no contact with every single person that knew and didn't say anything. Your brother knows how it feels to be cheated on, and that he would knowingly let his sister marry a known cheater makes him an a-hole. Your mom as well. How could she be okay with letting her own daughter go into marriage blind with a person like this? Someone that will cheat with people so close to their significant other will cheat with anyone. They literally don't care. So me, 35 female, and my ex, 37 male, got divorced 4 years ago when he cheated on me with his now wife, 28 female, while I was pregnant with my daughter. My ex is a D-bag to say the least. He didn't feel an ounce of remorse when he cheated and then married his mistress 3 months after the divorce. I, on the other hand, worked on myself for me and my daughter. I was a stay-at-home mom, but I got my master's and now have a better job and in a better place. Since almost 2 years ago, my ex has been sending me messages which were intimate, sort of. The first time it was that he was not happy with his wife now. She does not love him like I did. He wants to divorce her and get back together with me. I felt sorry. Back then I was stupid, so I thought I could win him back. But the next time we met, he ignored me. I did ask him about the messages. He told me he was drunk and there is no problem. The messages of such kind didn't stop. I asked him again, and he got mad and said, "Stop trying to woo me. You know I divorced you because I was not happy with you. I'm happy with my wife now." I didn't bring it up. He would make such messages like once a month. At that time, I thought I would just ignore him because I did not want to create more drama and look like the crazy ex-wife. He would text me complaining about his wife, but then again post pictures with her and go on dates. This was so confusing. There was one time he went to the drive-in movies, and he sent me a picture with caption, "I remember this place. I wish you were here." His wife was still visible in the pictures. The straw that broke the camel's back is when I started dating. I didn't tell him that I was. He must have known from our friends. The last message he sent me was that he wants to be with me. He cannot believe I'm not with him anymore, that another man is sleeping on our marital bed. He wants me. If I say the word, he will leave his wife and be with me. I got tired of his crap, and I sent the screenshots of his messages to his wife and told her to control him. He must be drunk. I even sent those messages where he criticized her. The next day, he bombarded me with messages that I ruined his marriage. I better fix this and tell his wife this is all fake. He doesn't need this stress in his life. He called me and screamed at me that I was a petty bee for what I did, that I am jealous of him being happy. I don't know. Should I just have ignored him? Because that didn't work the last time. Yikes. It sounds like OP actually thought about getting back with him when he first texted. Looks like OP has not worked on herself enough if she would consider going back with the man who cheated on her and got remarried 3 months after the divorce. OP needs to limit contact with this man to parenting and not engage at all over anything else. And now let's hear the community's opinion. JazzyX26 says, "Not wrong, but your ex is something else. I think that if you would have been with him, he would have dumped you after one night or wanted an affair. He wants to have his cake and eat it too. I do think you should have set stronger boundaries, and no offense, you were a bit naive here. Anyway, back to boundaries. Unless it is about our child, do not text me. I do not want to hear it. P.S. I know it is a typo, but Marshall Bed is the best." Jimmy B. 1982 says, "Okay, let's get this out of the way. I'm an a-hole. I'm a petty a-hole. Now, if I were you, I would tell him that I wouldn't even consider it until he is divorced. Once he is divorced, tell him you considered it, and your answer is no. But that's just petty me." Empty Nest Nana says, "You were so completely justified in what you did. I applaud your actions. He deserves whatever dish his waitress Karma serves him. He tried to have his cake and eat it too." I, male 52, met Jane, not real name, female 56, through work. I work in construction, and she works as a business manager at a school. 3 months ago, my company started some works at the school, and I was introduced to her as the project manager. The work went well, and there was some minor flirting from both of us, but I would never overstep that boundary, as she is a client. On my last inspection visit in January, we walked through all the completed work, and she asked if I wanted to go for a coffee next door. I said sure, and we got a table and we started chatting. This is where things changed. During conversation, she said she had a work function on Saturday night and asked if I would be her +1. I said yes, as I was extremely attracted to her. She's hot as hell, and she told me to meet her at her place so we could get an Uber to the event and have a few drinks while there. I got to her place as agreed, and we headed to the event. We had an awesome night where the flirting intensified, including some slow dancing, but nothing further. At the end of the event, we got an Uber back to her place, and she invited me in. She then excused herself to get changed, and came back out wearing a robe that was semi-see-through, and sat next to me on the couch. It only took a few seconds before we were at it like teenagers. I left in the morning feeling amazing, thinking I'd like to see this go further. A week later, she called and asked if I'd like to spend the weekend at her place. Of course I said yes, and that weekend we only left the bedroom to get food. It was amazing. During the following week, I called her up and asked if she wanted to spend the next weekend at my place. Her response was not what I was expecting. She said her husband is back from a business trip to China and she can't this weekend. What the actual duck? She said it so casual, like it wasn't a big deal. I told her I do not date people who are already in a relationship, and I didn't want to see her again. Here's where I may be the a-hole. The situation had pissed me off, and I hate cheaters, so I looked up her husband on Facebook and sent him a DM through Messenger, explaining what happened. 2 days later, she called multiple times, to which I ignored, then text-bombed me calling me a piece of crap, and how I had no right to tell her husband anything, and that I was being petty, and that I ruined her marriage. I simply texted back that I despise cheaters and would never have gone near her if I knew she was married, and her husband deserves to know. I've spoken to my boss to let him know what happened, as it may come up later. I've also spoken to my friend group about it, and the responses are split. Some are saying that I did the right thing, as they would want to know if it was their wife. But my boss had a few other friends say I should have left it alone and minded my own business. So am I the a-hole? In my opinion, husband deserves to know the truth. I'm sure every one of us would be grateful to receive such information about their partners. She ruined their marriage herself by cheating on her husband, hiding she was married, and then acting like it's no big deal. I guarantee she's done this countless times before. I understand OP is angry because he should have had a choice to start seeing a married woman or not. Now, he didn't have that choice, and it went against his morals because she hid it from him. And now let's hear the community's opinion. No Thanks 9802 says, "Not the a-hole. You didn't ruin her marriage. She did by cheating. Holy cow, did she deflect her responsibility back on you? You did the right thing, so her husband could make an informed decision about his marriage." Can of Next says, "My boss and a few other friends say I should have left it alone and minded my own business. Brother, it became your business the minute she mentioned her husband to you, the guy she was sleeping with. Definitely not the a-hole, and I think you did the right thing, no matter if she says you ruined her marriage. She ruined it herself." FS Mert says, "Not the a-hole, but I would be very cautious about getting romantically involved with a newly former client who can easily target your employer in unrational ways. I'd also have waited a couple of weeks and then sent an anonymous email to the husband, giving you a little deniability here. I have a feeling that her calendar is booked on the days hubby is out of town." I, 41 male, and my wife, 39 female, are people who like to travel. We take our kids, 12 female and 14 female, on trips 2 to 3 times a year, and over the year I usually put aside money for travel. My wife's niece also needs knee surgery due to soccer injuries. Soccer season ended a month or so ago, and my sister-in-law can't afford it. I'm not sure how much health insurance will cover or how much the surgery will even cost, but they've been looking for help to pay for it. Well, after we booked flights and stuff, we had about 15 to 20K left in the account. We didn't really know what to do with it yet. Fast forward to this morning, and my wife and I are talking about attractions and stuff, and my wife kind of sneaks into the conversation that we would have to pay out of pocket since she gave the remaining money to her sister. I was absolutely ducking livid because A, that was our money in the account, which means my money was also in the account, and B, I'm sure they don't need that much, especially if they have insurance, which will most likely cover some of the surgery cost. Since then, I went to work, came back, and haven't spoken to her since. She's tried to talk about it, but I don't want to talk about anything except my money getting back into my account. I feel bad for ignoring my wife and giving her shade, but at the same time, I'm really ducking pissed. Am I the a-hole? He who is person says, "Not the a-hole. Honestly, I demand she pay me back the entirety of what I put in. Never put money in a joint account again, and if she refused, to simply withhold my share of bills, or however you manage money in the marriage, until the amount withheld matches what she stole from you to be generous to a third party. She had absolutely no right to do that unilaterally. None. And this can't be the first time. Can it?" Zealous Ideal Divide 6 says, "Not the a-hole. Loaning money to family is fine, especially if you're capable of helping, but unilaterally deciding to hand over $15,000 to $20,000 from your joint account is not cool. While her intent was good, drawing such a large sum of money without a discussion first will never be okay. I understand you're upset, but you need to have a conversation with your wife. At the very least, tell her you're not in a place to have a discussion because you're too upset by her actions, and we'll discuss it when you're ready." Scary Extent says, Holy not the a-hole, Batman. In fact, she should be sitting you down and begging you not to divorce her butt. This is the poster child for people never ever sharing finances as a married couple. As you never know. $15K plus is not a small chunk of change, and you know it isn't just the money. This is a serious breach of trust. If you can't get that back, I don't see a future for the two of you. My 22 female sister, 25 female, had an A in early December because she doesn't want kids right now and couldn't afford one at this time, even if she wanted to. It's also worth mentioning that she lives with my parents, so if I'm over there, she is too. She's been taking it pretty hard, so we try to be delicate with her. I found out at the beginning of last month that I was 12 weeks pregnant with twins. I was on birth control, so the whole skipped period thing wasn't the first indication because my periods aren't regular. I told my parents and they were excited, but told me to wait a little bit to tell my sister. I'm now almost 19 weeks pregnant, so halfway through my pregnancy, and I had not told my sister yet. It's getting a little frustrating to always have to stop my conversation about my pregnancy when she walks in, or lying when she calls me and asks what I'm doing, and I'm at the OBGYN. I'm also now getting a pretty significant bump, and it's getting more difficult to hide. So I decided to tell my sister. We arranged a private dinner, just her and I told her I loved her and wanted to share this with her because she deserved to know. She took it rough at first, but we ended the night on a good note with her looking through the ultrasound photos I had brought and talking about babies and feeling my belly. When she told my parents that she knew and she was upset, they got angry with me and told me I was rubbing my pregnancy in her face and I could have waited a little longer because she was still mourning. Am I the a-hole? I did tell her because I was sick of walking on eggshells. Background Alp 6164 says, not the a-hole. What do your parents think was going to happen in a few weeks' time when you can't hide the bump? Or did they expect you to stop seeing your sister? You were respectful and made the point of telling your sister privately. Your sister is likely upset because it reminds her of the A, but that doesn't mean that you're rubbing your pregnancy in her face. I love GIFs of GIF says, not the a-hole. I feel like your sister is either playing both sides or your parents are making a bigger deal than it is. Either way, she has to know eventually. Did they expect you to hide the kids until she has her own? Loss is hard. Grieving is hard. You were considerate of her feelings for nearly half of your pregnancy. The world can't stop for any of us. I think the way you told her was very thoughtful. I would do your best to stop feeling guilty and discuss these things directly with your sister if you need to. Stop letting your parents get in the middle.